Yeah, the musical is happening, bro.
We are on it. We already have like 5 seconds of music. We're basically done. It's in the works, man.
It's all about the marketing, baby.
Quack.
Welcome to the Little Duck Book Club with Duck number 1,
Ren, and Duck number 2,
Anna, and color us surprised, we're talking about the same book twice in a row.
I love that you say color us surprised as if we didn't plan this on purpose.
Well, we don't know. You know, I'm including everybody who...
You're like, I forgot, but we're doing this.
I'm including every single person that listens to us. We are like one entity.
You are pro-inclusive language, and I'm pro-divisive language, yeah.
Yeah, Civil War is back on, guys.
Yeah. We'll bring it back every time, and then it's postponed, you know.
We're edging everyone with the Civil War content. Anyways, we're talking about Vicious again. Because I don't know.
Because it was so good last time. We're like, we have more opinions. We need to talk more about it.
And honestly, it ain't stopping. One of the things we were constantly thinking about when talking about Vicious, even before we wanted to make a video on it, was like, oh, wouldn't it be so fucking cool if there was like an adaptation of Vicious for the screen? And the idea grew to the point where we were like, why not, record this little discussion on...
Yeah, we were like, okay, let's try to kill the idea. The idea came back to life and developed superpowers, and here we are, man. Here we are.
Here we are. Back in the building again, as some people say.
I feel like, I don't know what we're gonna say, so I can't for sure. But I feel like this is probably not gonna make that much sense without watching the previous video or reading Vicious. It might still make sense if you've read Vicious and you're just like, oh yeah, what would a Vicious adaptation be like? But I assume we're probably gonna make references to the other video, just even without intention. So like, why not listen to more of us? We have great Vicious opinions. Like, how could you not need more Vicious content in your life?
So you're getting a double whammy instruction from us. First of all, go back to the other video, and if you haven't read the book yet, exit that video first. And read Vicious, and then go back and watch the video, and then come back to this video. Of course, if you don't want to do that, that's completely fine as well.
You can also listen to listen, we're just saying this because we're worried that you might feel lost and, not quite sure what the fuck we're even talking about. But if you don't mind that and you just, like having two very funny bitches on in the background, then by all means, man, stay around, listen to us.
We just care about you. We care about you so much, and we want you to have a good time.
We just want to protect you,
we say, and then, this is like Eli talk. It's like, I just want to protect you.
And then we're shooting you 3 times in the back.
And I think 1 was in the back, right?
No, 1 in the back and 2 from the front, yeah.
See, I got my facts straight this time.
You are an expert.
No, because I thought about the scene a lot. And
the scene is very good.
But also for the discussion today, I was like, oh, is that fun? But yeah, so we had the idea for like an adaptation, and very quickly we agreed on that it would probably make the most sense to make it a series instead of a movie, simply because it already has like the nice modular setup with all the different timelines and scenes. It would be weird to kind of, or at least it would be like wasted potential, I'd say, if you try to cram it all into a movie.
I was about to say, it is very modular, so it's easy to draw like, different episodes if you wanted to, but it's also so important, like so many scenes are relevant that you can't really merge because so much is happening that really, like, why not make it, a prestige mini-series with like 40-minute episodes, and it's like 5 or 6 of them, and you cover all the material, you don't overstay your welcome, a good
is this length. A dig at the sequel?
We could also make this, you could theoretically also say, oh, you could also do like a 2-movie thing where it's like part 1 is the first movie and part 2 is the second movie. But I feel like that doesn't really get the vibes right either.
Yeah.
Because I don't feel like the end of part 1 of the story is a good climax to end a story on, like a movie itself, like, right?
Yeah. I also, additionally to that, I also feel like why it's not an uninteresting idea to have a movie that is just about one day, because we still have some of the flashbacks to the younger days. It still would feel kind of, it would need then more of a interesting or like wow starting point and like a climax inside to make it
no, totally. You'd need to workshop it quite a bit to make it like a compelling movie experience.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, for sure.
So a series is best, I'd say. You don't really have like that big of, like what you said, endings in between in the book at some point to make it like a big thing. Plenty of situations for a cliffhanger and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
To be like, oh, like, oh, what's gonna happen next
what's
week
happening, man?
on Vicious, but a movie is, I think, the not the best idea. Yeah, the series.
Yeah, no, it's a series. I think is the most effective way to adapt this specific one. Which
yay,
hey.
And then the next thought or discussion, I think that's the next biggest point that came up.
Yeah.
Was what kind of medium? Like, is it animated, live action? Like, what would we want to do? And I think you were pretty, like...
I am, of course, a big supporter of animation for adaptations because I do think it's way more effective, especially for adaptations of things with, like, a supernatural twist. Because, like, the thing is just that After Effects, like adding effects in post will always be weirder and harder to make look convincing and to make it look good even like 10 years down the line compared to just if everything's animated, then it just looks better. And I also feel like because Vicious is also very melodramatic, it works better in animation just because you can do more like artistic overly dramatic stuff without people being like, that looks stupid.
Yeah.
Because like with real actors, you're very limited in what you can do.
Especially because depending on like the style for the animation, it doesn't have to be like, it can still be realistic leaning, right? It doesn't have to be like,
it doesn't like when we're saying animation, like it doesn't have to look like a Ghibli movie or like, we're not saying it's gonna be the new like big anime contender.
High School of the Dead.
They're right. Are we also giving Eli huge knockers to like flap around
against the vanities?
No, but like there is animation geared towards adults, and I think it would work really well for this one.
Yeah, but like we're not talking about the Rick and Morty animation for adults, right?
Oh God, no.
This is no shade, at least from my side, to Rick and Morty. I think I watched the first 2 seasons. I haven't caught up yet, but it's just not.
It's fucking ugly.
I mean, that's the idea. That's the point of the show.
Okay, but also being like, I intentionally made it look like shit. It's like, okay, that's still off-putting though.
Yeah. No, but
I'm just not the target audience for that, which is fine. I accept that. That's But I was thinking like a 2D probably style that's kind of inspired by superhero comics with like strong like lines and the more like realistic proportions in like the facial region, whereas you can still do crazy stuff with the body if you want to, but also have like the like the strong ink shadows where it's like the under the chin and like the blocked in shadows in part, which makes it look so much more solid and like stylized. I think that could work really well.
I think if you take, I don't know if you've watched or if you know the style, but like the Young Justice League kind of animation, like the cartoon DC stuff, but the ones that look a little bit more realistic, and then push what you just said, push the comic dramatics a little bit more, and make it a little bit less teen audience and a little bit more adult audience. I think that would work quite well and would still be feasible to animate in a way that it's like,
especially even if it looks 2D, sometimes like there's a lot of programs nowadays who have like 3D support underlying 2D animation, which makes it way quicker and easier to make, which is super interesting, but not the topic of the conversation. But like, a lot of, I feel like animation generally, like the standard vibe has like rather like thin lines that sometimes even get colored in to not stand out that much. But I feel like this would benefit from having like strong, like dynamic line work with like the blocked in shadows and stuff for like the drama. And also just like, you know, if the art is already stylized, you're way more likely to buy the crazy over the top story where people act like insane people.
And it would also, I feel like one thing that goes like very well along with that kind of style is like pushed perspective, which is such a thing for superhero comics as well. I feel like when you read a comic and you get to that point, like sometimes artists are under duress and time stress, right? And then the panels aren't the most intricate, but sometimes you come across a couple of panels where like the artist was like, listen, I want this to fucking slap so hard. And that's something you can do so beautifully with animation, and that would just benefit that style even more if you just have
for sure. That's also one thing. I was also thinking that like if we do like if it would be an animated style, I think you could also push like visual stylizations which make it easy to differentiate between the past and the present. And maybe even give like a stylistic bent to the different point of view characters. If, for example, you like slightly color code their abilities or whatever, so you know which person like we're looking from. Or you could also like do a thing where, you know, EOs stand out even stylistically, where they're like more saturated than the rest, or something where it's like, okay, these
or
are
less, you know,
these are, or even less, like they're washed out because they're already like, you know, died once.
Yeah. The sparkle is gone, as they say. The light.
The light went out behind their eyes. Eli was right.
I mean, those are fun things you can do with animation, right? If you previously have the light reflections in the eyes and then they look different, for example, after the EO kind of thing happens, you don't have to put them away completely, because especially for like Sydney's puppy dog eyes, right? If she sits somewhere, that hits a lot more if you got like the little shimmering eye reflection.
I mean, especially for Sydney, we know that like even from Serena's perspective, it's like, oh, she looked way more alive than she, you know, did before she died. Like there's more going on. But also, I mean, I'm also a sucker for, you know, when you have an animation, you have a black animal and it's like a blob with like cute eyes, like that's what I'm imagining for the dog, you know, the big ears on top, and then, you know, and when it's rolled up you just see like a little void on the sofa or whatever. I think that would be so cute.
It would give Doll more of a like specter character, sort of, you know, right, like a void ghost dog that just sits on the side.
And it's like extra cute when you have like this void dog standing next to this very light child that's tiny, you know. It's cute. I like that idea. I think it's very cute.
Definitely, I think that would be a cool style to use. I also thought about like if restrictions of color would be a fun idea, especially for like the differentiation between they like back in the day and the new day, and also like the different perspective of characters. If you give like, because is it in it's in Legend of Aang, I think it's the first season, when they like block out the kill the moon, and then everything goes, we thought our TV was broken, when everything goes grayscale. And only the fire bending like
is in color anyway,
is in color. I think it would be super cool for Victor's powers if you have everything in grayscale, and then his pain whatever effect is the only color. And if you were to kind of use this for all the EO powers, and then have each of them have their own color, I think that might be cool.
I think that would be a really fun way to like differentiate their perspectives, because then okay, this is the character from which we're seeing, and we see like for Eli, he's the only one in color because like his power is like all throughout his body or whatever. But like from Sydney's perspective, like it's probably like something like a bluish or whatever. Since,
it like creeps out of her hands
or something. Yeah. And like you could see that like the people she's revived have like her power on them or something, and the rest of the world is just kind of gray. But it also like points out, like you can see the corpses and stuff on the graveyard scenes where like she's so aware that the bodies are there, while like for Victor it's just a void for him, like there's
he doesn't see it, but she sees it. No, that's like and what I also like, I forgot the technical name for it, but it's like when in animation you have like these super short frames that like kind of overlay over something, like if something breaks, or especially in fight scenes, like in anime and fight scenes when they like connect with a jaw, and then there's like a split second where you can see like the jaw breaking, or like it's just they just inverted the colors to give it more oomph.
Oh yeah, like it looks like the name. Yeah, I know,
it's
on
like
a CT scan or whatever. Yeah,
frame or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I love that in fighting scenes to give a little bit of impact, and they tried to do this in Kingsman with the fighting scenes by just stopping at certain points and then like rapidly increasing like the speed of the fight again. But in animation you can do it so much better. And I feel like
in animation you can do so much more with it.
Yeah, and we need to have those in there because I love them. I never notice them, but when I see people be like, "Oh, look at these cool frames," I'm like, "Oh my god, that's so cool."
You're like, "Ooh, yeah, nice." Yeah, no, they're very effective. They're really really good for that. I feel like.
Yeah.
Like they bring so much, like the viewer doesn't like notice actively, but it does put emphasis on whatever is happening, which is really cool.
It's just I really really want those in there.
Yeah. I also think it would be fun if like for Victor's perspective, if like his world became like a higher contrast, like when you put the like contrast slider up and down in like an art program, like if he dials up his own perception, like it gets like more extreme and stuff gets washed out and like less obvious, and when he dials it down it becomes more gray and samey.
You mean like contrast or also saturation?
No, I mean contrast, because like contrast, I assume we're doing like a lot of grayscale adjacent. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
But like I wouldn't like do that much with the saturation, because like
there's no okay.
If you're already like playing with the contrast too hard, if you then also like up the saturation, then that's an eye strain that I don't think is very pleasant to look at.
I mean, if we just look at like his powers, that is sort of like the flimmering kind of feeling, the pain sort of like the when you turn a TV, like you have the static. Yeah.
But then I feel like you could also have like a static effect where stuff like, starts crackling a little bit without having to have eye strain for the viewer, who then looks at it and is like, ouch, my eyes.
I feel like static isn't uncomfortable enough. I want the eyes to hurt, honestly. But, but it's like his power is supposed to be uncomfortable. But that's...
You're like, I need the viewer to be in physical pain. It's important. I need it.
It's the 4D experience, like... so they just also need to see
when somebody gets stabbed violently, we also spray them with water, that they feel like, the fluids are fluiding. Sure, that'd be great. That'd be so much fun.
Yeah. I think the grayscale would also be so fun for the scenes for like the Eli gets to bleed like a pig scenes. When they turn, like the colors turn back on and you're like, oh shit, everything is red. you know, like they have their fight. It's dramatic. It's like kind of sort of grayscale. It's like
it's not as obvious, but then you turn it up and like the red is so red, and it's everywhere.
Or when the policemen come, you know, it's like, well, bro, your apartment is like fucking red, and then it's like, oh, it do be like that. I mean, he tries to clean it up, but you can't tell me that he manages.
I was about to say, Eli is so lucky that he went to disappear afterwards, because whoever like checked over this apartment where he bled himself out like 50 times or whatever, that's gotta leave residue. That's gonna start molding at some point. That's a health hazard, my man. Like, you can't be doing this.
The only way that would have not been a problem if he had like sat in the bathtub.
That would be really funny. Like, it just keeps rising. Like, he just ends up, like, sitting up to, like, his, you know, his chest in just his own blood. It's like some sort of freak.
I don't know if it's that much blood, but I agree that... But, I mean
he does say it, like, covered the floors and everything.
Yeah.
So, and he did try to slit his wrists and stuff several times.
Well, he didn't just try. He is actively
he did do that, wrists. Yeah. I mean, he tried to kill himself by slitting his wrists.
Yeah. I mean, how many liters does an adult man on average have? Was it like 6 to 7 liters?
I was about to say, isn't it like 7 or something?
Yeah.
And he's like a big boy, so like, yeah.
He's a big boy who tries hard to kill himself. Yeah, no, I feel like that would be a fun, thing. I also think that one of the most fun powers to animate would be Dominic's.
Ooh, yeah, that would be fucking
because the way it is explained is so was so interesting to me, where he was like, well, I still have to walk the walk, like. But the
world stands still while I walk the walk.
So it's not like it's so mean. Like, he can't even have the people he takes with him keep him company, because for them it's also fast, right? So he's just by himself, like dragging people with him to just go on a hour-long hike to a different place.
It does suck for him, man.
But I think his power. I like the way speedsters get animated. And different ideas for speedsters. I think my favorite one was from the one Marvel movie that was like sort of the Avengers, but it wasn't the Avengers. Immortals? No. It was at the end. There's like a huge giant stone man coming out of Earth. Makari is the one who runs fast. And that was a really cool way to portray a speedster, because it wasn't person running fast and backdrop is like quick.
Slowed down, yeah.
But it was just like big shots of an area, and it was like person running through. I thought it was really cool. But yeah, I think Dominic's would be very interesting to do.
He's like he got like the emo version of speedster powers,
I was stumped on, maybe you had an idea. I was thinking about how you would portray Serena's powers, like give it sort of a visual that isn't like just a spidey sense or something for the other person.
I mean, I think like obviously the easiest thing you can do is make like people's eyes glaze over in like her signature color or something when she does control people. Or alternatively also just like coat them in her residue, they just get slightly color shifted to whatever,
Maybe. I was thinking about like tendrils, that kind of like smoke tendrils that like...
I feel like that's too visually busy. Like, you do want to still see what's going on, and since she affects everyone who's around her, it's like it would have to be a lot. The closer, the like stronger the influence.
Okay, yeah, I'm fine with that. I was like, what could I do for her? But I don't like her anyway, so...
You're like, she can get an underwhelming
yeah.
It's fine. It's fine.
She doesn't need a pretty one. What I was thinking about was whether or not one would keep the order of scenes in the book, because I don't know. I thought as we like established, the pilot, or not the pilot, the first chapter is very
the
strong.
opening is so strong
and very well done. I just think that another scene that would be intriguing in a way of setting up a show would be the one where Sydney runs away while Eli tries to shoot her. And it's not that we see Eli and Sydney and everything, Serena. It's just Sydney running away and getting shot at, and then like cut, and then she's, you know, sitting on the side of the road. So do we get like the introduction of Victor and Mitch through like a Sydney perspective? You're not happy with that.
No, because it's like, right, mostly, I mean, it's also obviously the name, like, Victor is kind of the main character through which we experience most of it. And, like, Sydney is important, but she's not that important. And it feels weird to start the story so strong with her when really it's mostly about Eli and Victor and their mental problems, right?
Like, I don't know. I feel like that's something that is done a lot. To have the side character kind of introduce the main character to the story. But I agree where you're coming from.
Because I feel like it's, if you want like intrigue, you could also be like, we just start with a lot of high impact scenes which don't really make that much sense on the first watch but get explained and put in context later. So you could start with the graveyard scene. Like, obviously there's like something on the screen, like either like a date or like the, you know, 2 days before or whatever. And then you can flash to like Eli like looking at the drawing or whatever, and like you see Serena like in the background or whatever while he's staring at it. And then you flash to like Sydney getting shot, and you flash to like, I don't know, like you know, something with Mitch or like something, right? You have like a lot of stuff happening like in quick succession, which is like, it's gonna be explained later, but there's a lot coming.
That we could also do, yes.
I also thought that like, I thought it would be like a fun opening idea if you have like, you know, the different like EO deaths like playing as like the opening, like they're sort of stylized, but like only slowly through the series you can put into context who's dying here and like what is happening and stuff. So like,
so at first it's like just blobs of people and you can't really like be sure who it is, or do you mean like
no, you like, it's like maybe you don't like see their faces necessarily, but like you know, you see like somebody floating in the ice water, like Eli in the bathtub, then you see like two figures almost drowning, you see like Victor, you see the guy stepping on the landmine and being like exploded and turned to dust. Like obviously like stylized a little bit because it's an opening, so you can do like artsy shit with it.
Yeah.
And then like the longer the story goes, then finally you realize, oh, this is that guy, and that's what it's implying is happening.
No, I don't get it. So, but like, isn't it? So you just want to show like the deaths, and obviously because as you progress through the series, you're able to say that's not just a random person dying, but that's Victor, for example.
Yeah, and you can put in context why the deaths like matter enough to be like in the opening at all.
Okay. Now I get it. Because I was like, yeah, I mean, of course you're gonna find out more as you progress throughout this series.
Yeah, no, of course.
I thought you wanted to, because, I mean, that's also something shows do, that they change the intro.
Like, that's throughout. Also possible, but I also feel like, since it's an animated show, it's like already like a lot of work to make. So I don't know if I would like force a team to then also, you know, like even in my brain, I'm like, that feels like over the top.
I mean, I'm not saying you have to change a lot. The prime example, don't hit me, Arcane does it. Like
of course,
the intro changes, but not big stuff, like minor things that I, except for one thing, totally missed, because I'm just listening to the intro song and I'm like, my favorite show is on, right? I'm not. And then I see people being like, oh my God, did you see it change? And I'm like, it did? Okay. But that's what I thought you were going with, because you could have like just like these shapes and silhouettes of people dying, and then with each consecutive episode they're not like these weird monsters, but they're also just humans, so that the EOs aren't like devil people. You could have like one episode that tackles like has the majority of Eli's backstory, all the EOs except for him, and the intro could have like the like crossed out eyes or like look a little bit more malicious or something. Yeah, I mean, he's fucking weirdo. Like,
he is, but it's also, it just sounds very funny to just like give them red eyes or whatever, like make them look evil.
I mean, he did say some demon crawled into Victor's skin.
Yeah, but I feel like that part is also just because Eli is not as good at reading people. I think he bought a lot more of Victor's bullshit than like Victor bought of Eli's bullshit. Quite frankly.
That's also a thing I was wondering that we didn't address in the review, is how much do you think Eli clocked of Victor's like perception? Like, was it a mutual thing, or
I don't think he clocked like just how like utterly disinterested in people like Victor. He was probably like, oh yeah, he doesn't really care. Like, I mean, he doesn't hang out with people, and like, sure, he's like a little bit like, he's a little weirdo.
Yeah.
But like, not that crazy. Whereas like, Victor immediately clocked, okay, Eli is like a fucking freak who's pretending to be normal. Like,
It's like the meme, like, I've connected something. It's like, you've connected shit. Like, there's nothing that, yeah. No, definitely. But I like the idea of like little foreshadowing put into intros. Because then you watch the intros again and you're like, oh my God. So I do be enjoying that. There's stuff in the Attack on Titan intro, like the first intro they show the map like of the whole, it's like you can essentially see in the intro everything else that happens later on in the background, but you're so like taken aback by everything that happens in the front in the intro that you don't look at the back in the back, but it's all there. And when people pointed out, I was like, God damn it. Like, that's the kind of stuff that I really like in animation, where it's like very meticulously placed, like with a lot of intent. So I do be a little intro bitch in that regard.
I mean, me too. But again, I'm like, what would you even like? I don't know if it really adds anything to the intrigue if you slowly figure out who like dies. The dying person is, because that's already the plot that's like slowly telling you like how each of them died. So I don't know how much like that adds other, like, because if you can see who it is, you're like, wait, is this gonna happen in the story? Like, wait, are they all gonna die? Is this like a tragedy? What's going on, man?
Well, you could add like just little details. Like at some point, as soon as you're over that point in the story of Victor getting the 3 shots, or of them handing in the stick figure drawing, you can give intro Victor the 3 bullet wounds, for example. It's just that kind of stuff that's like makes me happy to watch.
What I also thought, like, alternatively, either as an intro or as an outro, depending, is to incorporate his blackout poetry to have like the actor name, like the voice actor stuff in like the like visible while blackout. The rest is blacked out, and you could have like to make it more than just blackout stuff, have like stick figure drawings of all the characters in it, like the note, so it's like
you could also try and do something with like the whole adrenaline trauma thing, or like the police database like thing with the characters where it always says like deceased or something. I think that could also be interesting, but the blackout is a nice touch as well. You could also
I feel like with the police files, that could be for the outro, where you get like additional information that like the show doesn't like necessarily like immediately give or whatever, and you have like somebody's file for each outro or whatever for each important character or something.
That's
that
true.
Could be fun. And then you could decide whether it's funny to make like every EO deceased, or if you just want to, you know.
Well, you could also like have then in the outro have like a figure blacking out all the tagged Eli names in the database.
Ooh,
you know,
yeah, that's also fun. Yeah, where that just gets like struck through. And like you can, for the characters, you can have like cause of death and all of that, and like they're obviously still alive. Like I think that can also be fun.
Mitch shot in a bathroom.
Yeah. Cause of death, bullet. Gun.
Cause
what
of
did
death?
he die of? Gun.
Cause of death, men's bathroom in a pub.
Cause of death, getting too emotional with Eli in a bathroom, public bathroom.
Getting a new hole blown into him in the bathroom. Okay, no, my man Mitch would never do that. Not with Eli, at least.
Eli shooting his load into Mitch in the bathroom. Yeah.
That's like the last episode name.
The last episode names various forms of penetration, because you also have the Eli and Victor fight where they stab each other.
We talked about this in the review episode, but it would be fun to have like the dog dies twice or something, but that would also be a fun episode name. Like just the dog dies and you're like, why would you tell me this? As a like, what the fuck? But then, you know, he gets killed then I think that would be fun.
You could also call it like Let's Adopt a Dead Dog or something.
You could do that. Would it imply too much about Sydney's powers? No, not really.
Not really, no.
Or just like
see that title and you go, what the fuck, man?
Adopting more strays. Something like that.
Do you think Mitch feels left out because he's the only one who hasn't died yet? Like in the group, he's like,
I think he's kind of happy that he hasn't died yet, to be honest. Like, I think Mitch would be like, okay.
Yeah, Mitch is like, I'm winning. All of you people suck. I have not even died once. Some of you have died twice.
That kind of bad luck has not gotten to me yet, you know?
Yeah.
Prison, like 80 times? Yeah, sure, but no.
That's because Victor is a good luck charm, you know?
I was trying to think, is he a good luck charm to Eli as well?
Because he makes him, like, you know, more successful in his thesis than he would have been without Victor.
I mean, the original plan wasn't recreating EOs, so it's like, he was, like, just a very strong motivating factor in extending his thesis. If you want to call it that.
I mean, like, Victor killed his girlfriend, so I don't know how much good luck charm a man can be.
Yeah, you're right.
When that happens.
But I mean, he did survive because, you know, Victor revived him.
Yeah, I mean,
properly.
Victor brought him back to life, but he also wouldn't have gotten in the tub and tried to kill himself if Victor hadn't suggested it.
I mean, yes, you are correct.
I feel like they're probably not good luck charms for each other. They're
regarding the deaths, I think you could do such cool, like, trippy stuff with the animation of it. And I feel it would be interesting maybe if you have, like, very, like, trippy stuff for Eli and Victor, but for Serena and Sydney, because they are, like, Dominic kind of just gets glazed over, like, what his death was. But for Serena and Sydney, we, like, witness their death. Like, we go through it with them. You could make it different, because it was a different situation. Victor and Eli very much wanted this and were, like, seeking it out.
And they went into it aware they were going to die.
Yeah.
And, like, maybe come back.
Yeah. And for Sydney and Serena, it wasn't. It was like a genuine life or death situation.
Yeah, it was genuinely not planned. It was like a spontaneous death experience, one might say.
I also thought about whether or not one would want to bring God into this in terms of like artistic.
One of my notes is we need shots that reference Jesus imagery so we can show off what a religious freak Eli is. So I do agree with this.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. Because like maybe it's just because you could show like, you know, him sitting in his room and like slicing himself up and being like in his eyes, you know, like the sun comes through the window, whatever, and it looks like angelic, and then it's like cat white shot, and it's just this guy sitting in the flat, like everything.
Yeah, you see it from outside the window, and it's just like, man, this guy's sitting in a pool of his own blood. I don't know.
Yeah, like there's nothing like there's no revelation or like divine intervention.
Because I do love like Halo imagery, I do think it would be funny if like when Eli comes back to life, like the first time, like Victor is like haloed by like the bathroom light, you know, and like to contrast it with after he dies and comes back, he's like, you know, he's got blood on him, he looks like death, and Eli's like, oh yeah, there's definitely something wrong with him now.
Well, yeah, I mean,
you have like Eli getting like whiplash from like, oh no, that used to be my friend, but now he's like evil and something else, and it's like, nah, he was always a kind like
you
kind
say
of a
it,
shit
say
guy,
it.
like
He was always a
put
cunt.
too fine a point on it, but like he's always been kind of like very willing to do fucked up shit. He just didn't say it out loud, and you didn't clock it.
You didn't see it in the dorm bathroom. The fact that they even have a bathtub in their dorm is honestly astonishing, but I'm not gonna comment on that.
I'm like, listen, it's just a really, really high quality college with like really sick ass dorms.
Yeah.
No wonder Vic was like, dude, I have to have a roommate? Man.
Don't think I've ever seen a dorm with a bathtub, but it's just like...
You know, they're very extra at Lockland. I was about to say Lockwood, but is it not Lockland, right? It's Lockland.
That's Lockwood and Key, I think.
It's Lockwood and Co. But
Lockwood
like,
and Co.
Yes.
Yeah.
But this one is Lockland.
Lockland University. Exactly. Which is also such an obnoxious and like rich people name to name a university.
It is.
It's like
it's very funny. It's kind of incredible. It's like, yeah, it sounds just as pretentious and stupid.
Yeah. It's also like the fact that Victor, as much as he's like, oh no, like this is all like, he's still a rich boy.
Oh yeah, no. He like could have been a trophy wife, but he fucked up. He could have gone the easy way.
It could have just seduced him and marry rich, but alas, it's not gonna happen. You know what? We could have a multiverse episode in there for shits and giggles.
No, we're not doing a multiverse episode. I know. Just because Arcane did it doesn't mean we have to.
No, I was also thinking of like Spider-Verse, but it's fine. It's like it's a joke. Okay.
I'm gonna strangle you through the screen. You are crazy. We're not doing this. This is a serious adaptation. I'm not letting this happen.
In one universe, Dole is like a black goldfish that they found. You know, like a one of those Petcos or what they're called. Like, you know, like the scandal where they threw out live fish into the dumpster. So that's what Sydney finds, and she's like, Victor, kill the fish.
Can we keep him?
And then she revives him, and they put him in a different container, like I don't know.
That would be really funny.
Like a water bottle. And Doll is just a fucking fish.
That's her emotional support fish, okay?
Yeah.
She needs him.
No, I'm not gonna torture you with a multiverse episode. That's fine.
You can have a near-death experience if you try, man.
So you think I also have to cross off the musical episode from my list? It's okay.
I mean, honestly, that would be really funny.
Okay, scratch the past 40 minutes. What if we make Vicious a musical?
Dude, Vicious the musical would be hilarious. Are you shitting me? That would be so funny. Because everyone's melodramatic as fuck anyway.
They are.
Like, this would be really funny. And you can, like, you have a, soliloquy every time somebody, like, tells their own life story, tells their flashback.
I also have to consider, like, right, musicals, emotions get too much, you start singing. Emotions get even worse, you start dancing. Last Fight. It's just...
It's like, yeah, it's a dance.
It's like a ballet duet,
Yeah, they're doing ballet right on the floor. Hands.
Ballet on the Floor is like one of the songs. We're gonna call it that. And like there's an interactive number, like right after the first break, where depending on where people sit by accident, they're like marked as EOs, and it's like a montage of Eli going around and killing guests. I'm getting far too invested in this.
I was about to say, you're going crazy. we gotta pull back. We can't afford a musical.
The nerves are firing.
Convincingly, we can do like a mock-up of an animation because we can draw. Neither of us can write songs. Okay, we need to chill out. We can't do it, man.
Hey, I made the intro song for our podcast.
That is true.
With my kalimba.
But also, I feel like it's only a fraction of the amount of music you need for a musical. Just a thought, though. But like possibly this is not enough.
You are right. Okay, but like we could also collect episode names. So the one that you said previously was you would love to have the title of the first part of the book as an episode name.
Yeah, because Water, Blood, and Thicker Things is just such a good title. It was like, you can't not do that.
I gotta be a bit dumb. What are the thicker things?
What do you mean?
I mean, this is about water, blood, and thicker things. Is it like the family bonds? Is it like the fact... Is it another fluid?
Is it Cox fluid? No, I don't know. I mean, obviously, like, it's a reference to the saying, but I assume, like, because it's mostly about people dying and coming back to life, I assume thicker things is, like, stronger things, as in surviving, like, blood and water, because these are the two ways people are dying, basically.
Yeah.
Like, right? Like, that's what I would say.
Okay. No, because when you pointed it out, I was like, wait, what are thicker things? I was like, I get because of the...
Yeah, like, obviously, yeah, the reference is obvious. And you're like, what's the thicker thing, though? Like, are we doing, like, pudding? What are we doing now?
You gotta ask yourself that. You gotta ask yourself. Yeah, I think something about the dog would be a fun episode name. Or, like, picking up strays. Something like that.
It could also be Some Dogs Don't Go to Heaven.
Oh, no! Doll would go to heaven. If Doll died properly, he would go
I mean,
to
the
heaven.
fact that you can bring people back to life pretty much indicates there is no heaven. So I feel like Doll doesn't go to heaven because heaven's not real, man.
I'm gonna
Checkmate.
Eli you in a second. I'm gonna, like, Wrath of God. Eternal flame. Combustion. Something like that. Yeah, no, I can't come up with more episode name. I think it needs to happen organically.
Yeah, I think so too. I was thinking, I did notice that, like, on the one hand, like, it's very, like, the book itself is very introspective. You have a lot of characters just thinking a lot of things, where I'm like, okay, we need to externalize this, because we're not doing a voiceover for this, because that's silly. So you need to either turn a lot of things into conversation. I mean, the flashbacks can just be flashbacks. They don't need to, be recounted. But there's also a lot of, like, inner thoughts, and a number of them have, like, realizations or whatever that should, that the viewer should get because they're important to the characterization. But yeah, I feel like that you'd probably have to restructure it so some of these things are like conversations or something, so you do get them, and people aren't just like talking into the void, you know.
I agree. That's like a you need to somehow show that. That being said, Vicious is like a it's I would categorize it as like an intellectual book, you know, in terms of that it's not there's some not in a pretentious way, but if you were to make this into a TV show, you don't have to spell everything out.
That's true, but I would still
like some of these characters
think you ought to spell out more than like Hannibal does, because this show is still like, especially if you go with like an animated superheroes, like it's just it's not as highbrow. Like you still need to articulate some things, because I also feel like that that's why, you know, you like the characters, because you have a lot of insight into like what's going on with them.
Yeah,
because you have so much inner monologue.
Of course, but like a very well placed like pouty face, or you know, lifted eyebrow
is true as well.
That translates a lot of the, like, for example, Victor has a lot of disdain for people in his life that just like normal people, not the people he interacts with a lot, but like random person, right? He's judgy as fuck. You don't need the inner monologue to get that characterization down. You can just make him very outwardly like judgmental in right.
I do love the idea of him like being the kind of person who raises one eyebrow at people, and I think it would be cute if Sydney tries to emulate this.
Yes,
and is like
she's
trying, but it's not working for the vast majority of the story, and finally she gets it down like right at the end before they go revive him. You know, it's like.
Or like in her,
it's like a journey, you know.
In her final confrontation, you know, she's like with Dominic, where she's like, "Get the dog," you know. She's like raising one eyebrow.
The Victor face.
She's seeing the Victor face. While reading, Victor was constantly raising his eyebrows in my mind. Like,
yeah, I mean, he doesn't say he's doing it, but I can imagine he is the kind of person who would.
Yeah,
because he's a dramatic little fuck. So, like, of course he does, right? Like, he needs to.
Yeah,
I'm glad we agree on that. That's very important.
So I get what you're trying to say with we need some introspection, but we don't need the specifics of the words and everything. A lot of it can be conveyed by an exasperated sigh or like body language in general. So,
and like some things can be like threaded in at like other points, like you know, at like in the flashbacks you have Victor like talk about his parents like very early on in his mind, being like, oh yeah, they were never there, like they were too busy going on tours to like raise their kid or whatever. And I feel like you could just slot that in at the moment where he and Sydney are walking past the bookshop where his parents' book is like on display, and he can make a comment like in the direction of Sydney, and he can bond over the fact that their parents were never home and that they're both blonde. I don't know.
I mean, you can also, if you want to like have it in the direct situation, for example, you could also have Eli be like, well, it's not like they're ever going to be noticing because they're never there, right? Haha. And then they pack up their stuff and go to lecture or something, because that kind of stuff also is, you can use well to establish like relationships in terms of what the other person knows about the character.
That is true, but on the other hand, I'm also like, I feel like that's very unnatural. I don't often reference the relationship to the parents that people have to people. I like, it feels like
you don't talk shit.
People who have been friends for years, I feel like a lot of those references, like, you know, feel extremely forced when you're like, oh, like, your family is like this and this, and, like, your sibling is like this and this. Oh, you remember how you said this about your family? And it's like, okay, you just couldn't find, like, a more organic way to put it into the story. You just have people remark on it randomly, you know?
I just wonder whether Victor would randomly open up in the bookshop about this.
I mean, he doesn't need to randomly open up. Like, it can just, you know, be a conversation where they're already, like, where Sydney is mentioning her parents and Victor is like, oh yeah, mine were never there either. They were too busy with book tours, and then, like, gestures at the thing. Like, at Lachlan, you can show the book and the names on the book and be like, oh, this is his parents' book. What's he doing there?
His little
and like he can still make the remarks to Eli about like the shitty parts of the writing where he is like, oh, don't worry about it, I crossed it out, it was so bad.
You know, one thing I think Victor would do as like an idle animation, he would like do stuff with the pen, because he always has pens with him, right? So can't tell me that this man doesn't like do the cool suave the pen spinny, flicking, spinning.
No, for sure.
Until he finds a new word to cross out or something like that. That could also be something that Sydney tries, right? They're having their discussion. Mitch is laying down everything. In the background, and Victor is listening to what they say, and like as like a little drop, you know, you hear like the clattering sound of the pen because she didn't even manage to spin once while she's trying to also listen to what they're saying. That's something you could also
and like
put in
you know
there.
you can have Victor sitting there in like his thinking pose, and like she's also sitting there in the thinking pose. So
and just Mitch being like, oh Jesus fucking Christ, no.
Yeah, Mitch is like, we can't have two of them. Sydney, don't do this to yourself.
Yeah, especially because if you were to, like, in animation, obviously, I would choose the same hair colors and stuff for both of them. I wouldn't even try to be like, oh, they are similar but not the same. I'd be like, no. Like, give them the same.
I mean, I would also be like, since in the present, like, a lot of people are more grayed out, I feel like it, like... You can in the flashbacks have like a more yellowish pale blonde than he had, but like in the present they're both like washed out like platinum blondes, right? Like at that point.
Yeah. Also the EO-ness of it all.
Yeah.
Same with, isn't Eli's hair described to be like this beautiful brown that has lots of vibrant shades and the sun hits him?
Yeah, he's the perfect all-American. Like, he is like the vibrance to like Victor's monochromatic nature.
And then it's, you know, not as happy and vibrant anymore in the future scenes. Not the future, the present scenes.
Or you could be like, he stays, like, vibrant because he'll never change, you know? He is still the same as before, compared to everyone else who has significantly changed from, like, their experiences. Like, or it gets more intense because now he's crazier.
Yeah. I feel like keeping it the same while I, like, go along with the notion of it, I would make it feel, like, change the colors a little bit so that you're, like... Either, it's a bit too much. Yeah,
something is off. Like, or he looks the same, technically, but, like, something's still, like...
Like, maybe the tones of the shadows are too similar in a way that it's, like, just not aesthetically pleasing to look at anymore. Or something like that.
Yeah, or you just, like, you pale out his, like, golden skin so it looks, like, way weirder that, like, his hair and eyes are, like, a piercing color or whatever. So you're like, what the fuck, man? Yeah, like, something's weird about you.
No. I like the thought of making the EOs look a little bit
but they stick different. Out, so it's also useful because they're like main characters, so it's easy to you know,
spot the anime main character in the crowd.
Yeah, sure, let's give him crazy hair, you know.
I mean, we have a tall ice blonde man in a trench coat.
In a trench coat with black fingertips because he plays with Sharpies too much.
Does he still have the black fingertips in the present day? Because I thought the black fingertips were from, like, touching pages, like, trying to get the Sharpie into the tip. The cap.
I mean, he was still blacking out shit in prison too. Like, not as often, but he was still going on. And I do feel like after you've had, like, this much contact, it could also just like settle on a deeper skin like level, and then you just like have dark fingertips forever.
People would be thinking that he shops at Hot Topic, you know. It's like, oh damn,
it's also such a cute character, but I'm like, I just think it's cute if he keeps it, because it's just like, it's so silly, because it's just like, dude, you and your compulsive blackout poetry, you know. You can't stop.
Yeah, especially if it's not just black fingertips, but like the errant black smudge somewhere else on the hand.
Like,
so it's like, okay, this is like not the pretty version of, oh, look at my fingertips, but like a messy person kind of stuff. Like,
And, like, the different fingertips are different amounts of black because obviously, like, the first 2 or 3 fingers get the most of it and the others just a little. It's just, like, such a character bit where it's like, this is so... It says so much about him. Like, you don't even have to mention it. You can just show him with the Sharpies and the dark fingertips and it's like, damn.
I mean,
and
that's...
also... If you ever have, like, just a close-up without, like, a context shot, like, if it's the first shot in, like, a new sequence, and you can see the black on his fingertips, you can immediately tell, like, from the hands, oh, it's Victor.
Which hand is this?
Ja, genau.
Yeah. Did you just say ja, genau?
Nein.
The German coming out is like, yes, of course. Yeah, no, I agree on that. I was wanting to say something, but then the Jagenau took me out.
German jump scare. Scump chair. Something like that.
Scump chair. Yeah, I just wanted to say that, like, that's the fun thing about visual media. Like, of course you can't spell everything out, right? But the implications of little details you put in there, especially
you have
in animation,
different kinds of information you can use that. Yeah, no, absolutely.
That says a lot about it. You could also change, like, one thing in animation is that rarely hairstyles change, right? Because you have, like, the one view of a character you want, and maybe they do, like, the Sims thing where it's like, okay, the character has a different hairstyle for, like, a sleeping arrangement scene than daily out in life scene. But for Sydney, I thought, I feel like in the short time span that the show covers compared to the others, right?
Yeah.
You could still show, like, with each iteration of Serena interaction, that kind of she looks less like Serena in a way. Mm-hmm. Like, just subtle stuff. Like, maybe the hair is parted the same, and then it's, like, it changes the hair part. Or maybe Serena always has the hair behind the ears or something, and Sydney at some point doesn't anymore. Like, that kind of stuff.
And, like, at first she's trying to wear the same makeup, so it looks like their eyes look more the same, and then later she doesn't at all because she has other things to worry about than trying to wear makeup. But Serena still does, because of course she does.
So something like that I think would be very fun for Sydney, because she's a kid character, right? So... she's not a kid character who keeps her own clothes.
It is not, like, she does have, like, the borrowed clothes at first, and I think it would be nice if, like, the visuals imply that later on, like, Victor or Mitch got her fitting clothes, like, later on, like, in the day, like, or something, like, after they were out, and it's just like, oh, now she wears something that fits her much better.
Yeah, because this is not as explicitly, like, stated in the book, right?
Yeah, but I would just assume that, like...
But it's, like... 2 days.
If they're already going outside to go shopping, like, they might as well, you know.
Like, get her some new stuff, because you can't walk around in, like, 2 big joggers forever.
Yeah, no, and she needs, like, proper shoes, probably. And, like, it's just, and you know, it's not like they have money concerns.
They don't, yeah. The proper funds. Do they use the credit card from Victor? No. Do they just have money?
I would assume Mitch just gets, like, set up accounts and, like, steals them.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I just assumed. It's never said, I think. But, like, I mean, they live in a, like, 4-star hotel, so I'm like, it's probably, like...
The Esquire.
Probably within his means to manage that.
Yeah.
Or, like, build, like, a thing where you can, you know, get money out of an ATM or whatever, you know. I'm sure he can manage. I trust Mitch's skills on this. I trust Mitch generally. He's a very dependable man.
I'm trying to find whether there's a sentence. It's like, who booked the hotel, but it's not in here. No.
I mean, I assume it was Mitch.
Yeah.
Just because, like, he got them a reservation through extremely legal means, and, you know.
He has the taste. Or actually, no, Victor has the expensive taste.
Yeah, but I'm also like, I mean, if you're breaking out of prison and you're, you know, illegally getting a hotel room, you might as well get a really nice hotel room, right? Like, at that point, you might as well.
That is correct.
If you're gonna do it, at least, like, you know, make it worth your while. Like, Mitch, like, if I'm gonna go to prison, I might as well do crime.
That is true. That is my baby boy Mitch. That is absolutely true.
He's also so right about, like, yeah, if they're gonna arrest you anyway for shit you didn't do and you stay in prison for it, like, yeah. Why not? At that point, like, you know, why not?
I would do so too. Absolutely.
There was a joke thing I wrote down because Victor reads, like, the article about Eli, like, killing the guy at the bank and being called a hero. And, like, my thought was just, like, he's reading that and then he, like, sighs or whatever and is like, fine, make me your villain. It's just like, I was like, that would be so fucking funny. I mean, I wouldn't seriously put it in, but it was just a thought where I was like, lol.
No, this is, first of all, it's turned into such a meme for me that I can't take that serious anymore. Like, whenever, because people also use it, like, extensively in the comment section of all kinds of, like, videos or Tumblr posts.
Yeah, no, I know. That's why I thought about it. It's so present in my brain. I was like, it would be very funny. It's not a serious suggestion, but it was just like, we gotta have this.
No, I endorse this thought. I think it would be extremely Victor as well. Like, yeah,
that's
it's a
true,
nod.
Yeah.
It's a nod to whatever, right? But I mean, that's even his thought in the book is right.
Yeah,
okay,
he's like, well,
you're the hero.
Yeah, that's why I wrote it out. I was like, you know.
It would
but it's
be
even funnier
extremely...
if he's not just thinking it, but saying it out loud. You know, it's just...
No, personally, like, maybe he sits there with a coffee or something, you know, or his pen.
Yeah, I was thinking he has, like, a glass of, I don't know, scotch or whatever, and, like,
doesn't he drink, like, whiskey
drinking
or something?
and on the couch and just staring at the article, and I was like, fine.
Make me
like,
your villain.
Knocks back the drink and is like, make me your villain. It's so silly. I can't even take it seriously while saying it. It's just...
No, but personally, I love it when, like, media, like, kind of references each other in, like, a in that kind of non-obnoxious way, right?
Yeah, where it's like, if you don't know the reference, it doesn't hurt you in understanding the scene.
Like, not like these movies are like, what do you mean? You don't know the blah 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 hit of the 80s, the blah blah blah, and it's like, shut up. Like,
it's like, yeah, obviously I don't. What the fuck?
I think scenes like this are far more impactful if the reference doesn't land in with the other person in the scene, and the character's like, cool,
right?
You know, that's much more fun, because then either you as
silence, just like, okay, whatever, man.
Either you as the audience can go, I didn't get that either, or you go, oh, okay, I'm the same level of nerd as the character, cool. You know? No, I definitely...
Me and the writer have similar experiences. Nice.
Now that you put that thought in my head, I can't stop it. It'd be so fun. I think...
Casting Victor and Eli in acclaimed YA hit Shadow and Bone.
Who's Eli? Alina?
Sure, whatever. He's just a fragile little girl. Don't worry about it.
I don't know. Eli is much more book Mal, to be honest. Like,
that is true. So we're casting Victor as Selena then? Or are we casting Angie as Alina, but we never show her face because she gets fridged immediately?
No, Angie would be, accordingly, one of the, like, the random cadets that die in one of the, like, horrific things that happen all over the book, you know?
I was like, well, if we're going by typecasting, she has red hair, so she could be Genny.
Oh, no. But yeah. You know, if we were to make, like, if there was a show, right, and there'd be like this little, that sometimes, and like especially animation studios do this because they don't have to get the actors in again, where they make like these little Halloween social media posts or whatever. It's like, oh, thank you. You could definitely do like a Victor as the Darkling like costume, because all it needs is like Sydney going like with black hair dye being like, do this, trust me, we don't need to change anything else, right?
Just me.
Yeah.
Sydney's going ham, also giving him like killer eyeliner and stuff. And Victor's just like, sure, whatever, man.
I guess this is me now.
This
okay.
can't be worse than being in isolation for 4 years.
He wishes. He's like, oh god, that didn't happen to me in isolation.
Funny, man.
But yeah, the fandom culture would be impeccable for the Vicious adaptation. I'm sure of it.
I mean, there would be so many edits of like scenes where they just like edit Eli and Victor to kiss, because it's like, you know.
Yeah, like make the Barbies kiss.
Yeah.
No, definitely.
Like, yeah, no, it's like, yeah, gay sex would have fixed this 100%. Don't worry about.
Or made it worse, honestly.
I mean, it depends on the timing of the gay sex. But if instead of like Victor's first suicide attempt, they would have just fucked about it, then, you know, it probably would have fixed the whole story.
But they still would have tried the suicide. Like, they're not the kind of characters that would get distracted by the more, like, the flesh, you know?
The flesh.
They'd be like, okay, cool. Suicide,
yeah, but
getting
if they're
back
not
to
doing
that.
it then, and Victor tries the first time with like a serious attempt, then like it changes everything.
Oh, that's what you mean.
Because then he's not desperate and kills Angie, so like there's a lot, you know.
Oh. Want to make that adaptation?
You're like, want to write a fanfic and then make an adaptation, like an AU fanfic?
Yeah. Like if the Fix-It fic becomes the official adaptation, you know? It's like, no, we're just gonna make this not as sad.
Listen, it's 11 years later. Gay marriage is legal in many places now where it wasn't before.
It's like, rewrite it.
We can do it
it's
this
fine.
time.
Yeah.
Eli can come in with a little bit more eye for like hey, I could be Victor's trophy wife if I want to marry rich. This is convenient.
Yeah. This is like, why did I never think of this before?
And then also, they can, you know, like murder the professor together, and like Victor helps covering it up, and then I was like, yeah, you know, whatever, it'll work out, it's fine. Don't worry about it.
The whole thing would be such an Eli thing to do in terms of, like suddenly he has like the standing of the LGBTQ crowd, and he's like, you know, I'm not just an ally anymore. Which is so performative, and like, bitch, we know you vote Republican. It's like,
yeah, no, of course, it's like, girl, we know you would shoot any of us for just like $10. You don't need to pretend, right? Like,
we do it for free. It's like,
that's true. He really, Eli has the energy of truly like gay rights for me, but not for thee. You know, like that's his motto.
Yeah.
Yeah, adaptation change. They just have a rainbow flag in like their apartment.
Again, visual media tells so much, you know.
That would be so funny, man. This is a serious conversation.
I mean, you guys don't know, but it took us a couple of minutes even starting this episode because I couldn't stop laughing. So
we started like because we were having too much fun.
It's a very serious conversation happening here.
We are the most serious podcast ever.
One more thing I wrote down in terms of, because I was thinking about soundtrack. Mm-hmm. I would like for this to be, or I think, like, we don't have to go full Guardians of the Galaxy where the whole soundtrack, especially for the first movie, impeccable 80s music that kind of, you know, just like already existing music. But I think a nice mix would be fun, because the implications of certain pop songs to have in the show, next to like the normal soundtrack that you put
Are we making it a period piece? Are we doing 2014 pop songs? Are we doing like early 2010s pop music?
Wouldn't that be... I thought about it. I was like, what if we make this like not
letting Disturbia play? Yeah, for sure. Like,
Wouldn't that be so, like,
that would be sick. I love that. No, we didn't.
Like,
questions.
we have
Are
a
we
shot.
also giving them the dumb early 2010s haircuts?
We have a shot of Eli, like, eating broccoli, right? And then, like, his flashback to just a short cut of, like, hitting
while his car radio plays.
And it's just, like, a 5-second thing, right? The music plays, and he's like, poof. It's like, Disturbia! I think it would be, like, I think it would be fun.
The bump is, like, in time with the rhythm of, like, you know, it's...
Yeah. Bump, bump. It would be, I thought about, especially because we have a 10-year skip, right? Yeah. So you could play it up even more, right? That Victor's, like, still listens to old music, and then Sydney listens to other
like,
stuff.
That's even funnier because they do have flip phones in the, like, later part of the story. That means 10 years early is actually early 2000s, which is even funnier. It's Eli like, in Y2K fashion is, like, the funniest thing I can imagine. The layered shirts. Impeccable.
When I got the idea through the soundtrack, I was like, yeah, like, let's not go the obvious route. Let's go like the vibes are like Y2K and early 2010s.
That would be amazing. I am all for this. That would be so funny.
Because I was like, okay, but can we try to get a Pitbull song in here? And like, I thought it would be funny. Especially if you have, like, the party scene where Victor tries to find a person, like, not a person, tries to find enough coke in order to, like, do his thing. You could make, like, a mini montage out of that.
There we have, and we also have the party where Eli is looking for Serena, where you can have, like, then the later pop songs
the other
playing.
vibe. I mean, he talks about the fact, or, like, not talks, but, like, there's the thing about him trying to always keep up with the trends and everything so that he, like, looks appropriate, not out of place on a campus. And you could just show his disdain for, like, he comes into the party, he hears the music, and he's like, oh, because it's not his party music, right?
It's not. It's different from when he was a boy, you know.
It's the youngsters. It's the young people party music now. But for the non like pop song or like stuff, I think, and I just say this because I really love her work, but I think Natalie Holt would be amazing for the soundtrack. She did Loki and Rivals, and for other people, like, Loki is, like, obviously superhero, whatever, has some interesting sounds in there because of the time traveling aspect of the show, which I thought when I first heard the soundtrack, I was like, ooh, that's nice. And then one of the songs she puts in a classical piece as well was like, okay, wait, how did you, that was a nice connection. And Rivals is it's like a contemporary show. It's a bit naughty, but it's the soundtrack is very. It's just also very fun, and I felt like that fun aspect that she has in her soundtrack, as well as like the feeling for theatrical, would be very fun for Vicious. It's just, if you have not.
I mean,
I was like, but
we can dream big, man. we can think about anything we want to.
Honestly, I want a dinosaur in there then. Like a big ass. Just, you said dream big. So I was like, the multiverse episode is happening.
If you can explain to me how he fits into the plot, we can put a giant dinosaur in there. I'm not opposed. I love dinosaurs.
Make doll a dinosaur.
Ooh.
They go to the
to Natural History Museum and like revive a skeleton.
Yeah, because you think like not all of them are imitations, right? Or like reproductions.
But a lot of them are at least partial imitations, because most fossils are not complete skeletons, right?
But the ones where it doesn't say that it's an imitation, or like that's
that's a real guy. Are we turning doll into like the T-Rex from Night at the Museum? Is that what we're doing?
That's exactly what I have.
Incredible. In mind, I'm pro this. This is totally inconspicuous. No one will notice. No one will care.
Just a little girl and like T-Rex dinosaur.
Who wants to play fetch? Yeah.
Who wants to play fetch? But yeah, those are the thoughts I had for the adaptation written down. At some point, I had thought about some voice actors, but I didn't really get that far in terms of people. I had one person that I thought was great for Victor. I always forget his name. Where are you? Okay, wait, I gotta pull up the whole cast list. I'm gonna butcher his name. Luke Pascalino. He's like has a very big role, I think, in Skins. As like the thing that he got like big with. But he has a very very posh way of talking, and I think he would be perfect for Victor. In the way that he is he has a very soft voice. I think it's very nice and warm, like, but depending on the roles he plays, he can sound so fucking mean. And I think that would just work out perfectly.
I mean, that does sound very good.
Yeah,
I'll take it.
Yeah, so that was the one person I was like, oh yeah, ooh, I like that. But since we pretty early on went from live action to animated, I was like, okay, I don't need to look for fitting faces of actors and stuff to make this a thing. So, do you have any more adaptation notes?
I had like another like stylistic thing that I thought would be interesting, which is that I think it would be interesting to never show Angie like face full frontal anything. Like we see her like from the back as like a shadow, we see her like from afar maybe, but we don't actually like ever, like the audience never sees her as a person, and like the characters look at her and we can see their reactions to her because she's important to them. Yeah, but like we as the audience never really get to know her, and she's not like a point of view character. So I think it would be interesting if, like, you know, we don't ever get her, we only get the distorted memories that like Eli and Victor talk about.
It would be, I like the idea. I think it would be, if we could extend it even more, to have her be like two different characters depending on who's thinking about her.
Ooh, I like that she's like slightly different depending on like whose flashback went. I like that.
Like similar enough that we obviously get that this is the same character, that it's right? The same.
But like if the voice actor does it slightly different, you know, and is like, yeah. No, I like
just
that.
That's the behavior in itself. Because like Victor idolized her in a way, but he saw her as like this prize he wanted to get but didn't get, right? And for Eli, it's like the obvious, like the girl he got. Like he always gets the girl.
Yeah, so but also the one who got away because she died, like, straight up. she got murked.
She got away. Chapel Roan in the background. Yeah, no. But I like the idea. It would solidify also the unreliable narrator bit a little bit. In general, I think it would be fun in this setting, because it's already done in the book, right? But it would be fun in the setting to really play with what do people look like depending on the POV.
Yeah.
Like having the one Mitch POV in there could give a whole new flavor on all the people that we meet, right? Because previously it's Sydney, Victor, and then there's the one Mitch, right? Who maybe has another view on Victor and Sydney, the way that they don't even think about it, or you as the viewer are like, oh. Because Sydney looks at Victor and she's like, oh my god, Victor, my dad, boogie woogie. And Victor looks at himself and he's like, you know, has some thoughts, but mainly has thoughts about Eli. So having Mitch look at this from the outside, also interesting.
I was thinking, because like Victor does have a lot of, and even Eli also had like a lot of internal monologues that are almost addressed at the other. If we want to like play with like reflections in like windows or whatever, where it's like, you know, they're talking to the other person who like in their view is like reflected back at them, but like obviously there's no one really there.
Yeah, I just always you'd have to be like careful visually with that.
Oh yeah, for sure.
'Cause like it can quickly turn into like people thinking that there's a hallucination going on. Which that is not the case in the book.
Yeah, no, that's like, not at all the intention. Yeah,
like definitely. There's not a moment where they're seeing, which honestly I wondered why, especially with Eli, where there's no, after he finds out that Vic is in the same city, like there's no Eli going fucking crazy with every single tall blonde man he sees in that one time span with the midnight thing, right? Because he's like, oh, what the fuck is that? That's not the case.
Yeah, he doesn't really do that.
Yeah. So, but I like the idea of because then the characters get more interaction in a meaningful way. Could be fun. We could also then change the look of the ghost person.
Yeah. I think it would be fun if, like, you know, it doesn't really change that much from Victor's perspective, because Eli is still, like, the same, basically. But Eli's talking to the younger version of Victor that he still knows, because he doesn't know what, like, the older version looks like, right?
And, like, maybe like a mean-looking younger version.
Yeah, like the one, like, the version he imagines is, like, looks way eviler, has, like, these smirks and whatever. And,
like sharper eyebrows, you know?
Yeah,
like...
and I guess you could also say that, like, Victor's version of Eli is also a little bit more pretentious and, like, maybe smiles more than the actual one does anymore.
Yeah.
It's like, I think that could...
Still has the golden boy smile. Toothpaste smile. Yeah, no, definitely. That is a cool idea. Just gotta handle it right.
Yeah, you gotta have restraint. You can't go too ham with it.
Yeah. I mean, easy ways, for example, is that whenever they see the reflection, for example, when Victor looks at the bookstore, like from the outside, you know, and there's like these words, and he's like, vandalism's not my thing. I mean, yes, but I mean, no, right? If you have, for example, then a reflection in the glass, that he doesn't turn around and go, "Whoo," but just looks, and he's like,
he's just like,
yeah, that's my memory, dude, out there. Something like that.
Yeah, no, I like that idea. Because Victor's doing so much, like sitting in the hotel room and staring at the window, or like staring out the window in the car, or like all of that.
In the bathroom, like look at appealing the scenes where like smashes the glass and then gets the glass out of the hand and stuff like that. There's like some introspection. You can always have a fun punching a mirror scene, and it's like...
Those are always fun.
People do love a broken mirror scene.
I was about to say, that is probably much more Eli, because Victor doesn't hate himself in the same way.
Yeah.
And, like, he's not, like, he's also unhinged, but also he's learned restraint through his prison stint, and also through aging 10 years.
Prison stint.
His prison vacation, I don't know what you call it.
What would be the
prison arc of his story?
Prison arc. Is that his version of a staycation? Was it prison? He had to stay. He couldn't go anywhere.
Yeah, around vacation, and he's like, well, this year I think I'm treating myself to a staycation. I'm staying exactly where I am, and I do nothing differently.
And then I take him out of isolation. He goes, there goes the staycation. But no, I like that idea. Do you have anything else?
I mean, I have like some specific thoughts on like scenes and stuff, but nothing,
sure,
like broader. I mean, I also wrote down that I think it would be really cool, because like in the when he is about to do the coke, right? And then Eli comes in, and you have like the whole like conversation, and then Eli is like, you know, you should, you know, I'm waiting 5 minutes, and then you have to come out, otherwise, you know, I'm coming back in or whatever. And Victor texts "save me" to Angie. I think it would be way more interesting if we only saw him like be there, and then we cut to Angie's phone lighting up with "save me" from Victor, so that we don't know what he's done, because like then it's like, okay, is he like, has he tried again, and now he's asking like for help from her instead of like, I think that would be like way more interesting. Like in a visual medium, you end up with like, okay, so like if we're gonna do SMS, we might as well show it on Angie's phone and not his phone.
That's true.
And I also thought that because we have the Eli article about him as a hero, where we see his face very prominently, I thought, and because his face doesn't change over his lifetime, it's a great like transition like choice to have him like in the same pose in like a different play, like a different point in time. And like, you know, the background blurs and then we are in the different place with the different colors or whatever. Ooh, and we know we're somewhere else now, or we're back in the hotel room with Victor, and you know.
I see your vision.
I think that could be like a good visual like cue that's like fun to play with, so you have like fun transitions. I also thought that I think the book could have leaned more into the fact that they're all in the same hotel. I think it would be fun to have like transition from character to character, that you see one of them walk out and then somebody else comes through a different door and goes somewhere else, and then we follow them around to like the next thing they're doing. I think that would be really funny. Cause,
I mean, even their hotel rooms are like on similar floors, right? Or like close enough floors. So
yeah,
you could have like you could have like a Victor with his glass being like, and then it pans out
of the windows, and then you zoom into a different. I like
like that.
Because I think it's such an obvious like thing you can play with, because it is really fun.
Still laughing about that one. Honestly, it's like. It could have, even in the book, could have played it a little bit more even. Just
it could have happened a few more times. It happens like twice or something, and I think it could have done more.
Like, I don't know, them being annoyed at the young couple that's obviously having too much free time, you know, on the floor above them or something like that. I think that would have been...
Yeah. No, absolutely.
See, we got a musical down.
That is so true. I also think that it's such a visceral scene. Like, obviously she expands on it later on, but I think that's not really necessary. Where Sydney is still in the hospital and she goes to the morgue to revive someone, and she's just like, you know, she's looking at the first body she revived, then we see her thinking phase, and then we cut. And we see her stand outside of the morgue, or like we see a elevator door open or whatever, and we see behind her like the sign for like the morgue, and she is like blood on her hands and everything, and it's just like, okay, we know what she tried to do. Like, she went and revived someone and killed them again. And I think that's like, it's such a strong visual that I feel like it's so like, it's such a quick way to do what a book takes way longer to describe, where the visual medium is really just like hitting you so hard with what's happening.
Yeah, because you don't need the nurse being like, oh my god, screaming at like the guy getting up.
It's like, I mean, also like, if you, in the scene with the nurse, you can also have just like, I would assume that it's smarter to have like, even if the nurse reacts and screams, the scream would be like muffled in the back, because her, like, Sydney's attention is like zeroed in on the moving body, so like the nurse is not her concern.
You could even have like a little teeny toes noise, you know. It's like she doesn't really notice.
Oh my god, what the fuck, man.
In a similar way, I thought it would be fun if, instead of having like the long psychologist conversation with like with Victor, you know, like, oh, you need to stay here, blah blah.
Yeah.
Could just cut to like Eli picking him up and leaving, and like in the background or on a chair you see the nurse with like the Victor veil, like the veil helps self-help book. Yeah. Where it's like, oh, you know, before it's like a cut, him going, oh, Jesus Christ, something like that, and then cut, and then she like has the book.
Yeah,
and you're like, oh.
Or you could also have like, Eli's just like asking like, I thought they wanted to keep you, and Vic's like, well, my nurse is a fan, and then you see, you know, the book.
Yeah, that's
something
good.
Like that.
My nurse is a fan. I that's very Victor.
I think that's like,
or like, we came to an arrangement, and first you think, oh. And then you see it with the book and you go, oh.
You're like, Vic, did you fuck the nurse?
Yeah, exactly. It's like, really? Oh, no, it's different. Okay.
Yeah, he looks super self-satisfied, and Eli's just like, what did you do, man?
Yeah. Eli's like, I didn't think you'd have it in you. Oh my god.
Yeah, Eli's like, I thought you hate I thought you didn't care about people, but actually you're a whore. I have to revise my thoughts.
Where we are again at the obvious solution of all of this, but no, I get it. It's not this kind of book.
Yeah, it's not that kind of book. I'm sure there are versions of this on AO3 which have explored this in detail.
Absolutely, like at least 15
in very explicit detail. Yeah, definitely.
No fade to black here.
I mean, there's gonna be pain play in there, and knife play. We know this.
Stop! Yeah, of course. I also, I thought but that's mainly fueled by, the Hannibal, visual parallels, but I thought it would be fun if we see, food being prepared by Victor, and, it kind of, overlays with the stabbing of Eli. And
but you don't stab your food like that.
No, but the visuals of the knife, the cut and then the pulling it away. It's just he's just mutilating a steak or something, right? And he's so excited to do it again. That kind of.
I do think it would be definitely fun to have Victor or Eli prepare food in their apartment before the knives are used for the mutilation stuff. So that we were familiar with the knives, we've seen them before.
Yeah.
And then, you're like, oh.
Oh, okay. That's the good knife they used. It would be even funnier if, it doesn't make sense for Eli to take the knives with him, but it would be fun to, if they are the same knives.
Yeah.
As, the knives for
that
the
would
end
be hilarious.
Confrontation. And then Victor's even more we didn't want to eat steak today, buddy. I don't know what you thought this was. Not a date.
Yeah. He'd also be like, damn, I mean, you're never changing, but the same knives? Man, why?
I was like, at least you take care of those, They still look banging. Good for stabbing. Let's find out.
He's taking good care of those.
Yeah.
He can't afford other knives. He's like, serial killing doesn't pay, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, he is a bit of an urchin before Serena comes along and helps him out.
Which is very funny.
In that regard. It's the Christian way of life, it's the...
I mean, I would also assume, he doesn't mention it, but I would totally assume he steals money from the EOs he kills.
Yeah, or at least, I mean, it's not explicitly mentioned, but you cannot, there's no way for him to keep that up without...
Yeah, right. I was like, you need money to live and buy things. So, even if he heals and can't technically die, I feel like he would definitely steal money. I don't think he has compulsions about this. He's like, nah, it's fine.
Yeah. And he can't
It's the right thing to do. He's using that money better than those people ever could.
Because it's not like he can tap into, funds.
Yeah,
because he doesn't have the rich parents or stuff like that.
He's got no money, man. He's just got his killer personality.
Oh, that would be a fun episode title. A killer personality. That would be really fun. That could be for an Eli episode. Killer personality. See, we can workshop this. In 20 years, we'll have 30 seconds animated. Because that's how much it takes.
Yeah, unless one of us strikes it rich and we can just pay someone to animate it for us. But that seems unlikely. I'm assuming. Have you considered becoming a trophy wife so we can pay for our vicious animation project?
I'm trying. No, unfortunately that hasn't happened yet, but we'll see. Maybe.
Well, you can help us gather funds for our vicious animation project by subscribing and hitting the bell. I
thought you were talking to me. I was like, what are you suggesting I
do? You should also subscribe and hit the bell.
I already have. With my personal account. I was our first follower.
Damn.
Do I get like a...
Our first
like
duckling. You get exclusive Little Duck Book Club merch, which you're already wearing.
Which I'm already wearing. Well, do you have anything to add to our adaptation plans? Except for that we need funding.
I mean, not really. Like, I think we've talked about most everything, and unless we're doing like a scene for scene breakdown, which we already talked about, would be extremely hard. I feel like we've like mentioned most things. Like, I can't see like on the first glance anything that I'm like, oh yeah, we didn't talk about this.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think especially with like...
I mean, we have been talking for a while. It's not like we just, 10 minutes of like, oh yeah, I'd like to do this, this, and this. Okay, I'd like to do this, and this. Okay, yeah.
This is like a 1 hour, 44-minute elevator pitch. Very quick. Yeah,
it's in the middle, we like go on tangents and laugh a lot, but you will want to sponsor us. You will want to invest in this product.
It's a very tall building and a slow elevator.
It's an extremely slow elevator. We probably like made it stop. Like we pressed the emergency button and like made it stop somewhere, and we're like, no, listen.
One of us is like constantly running the stairs and hitting every stop button.
Like, POV, you're stuck on a long flight with us on both of your sides, and we're just saying this, and you're stuck here, and you cannot leave.
We were too cheap to buy seats, so we have the middle seat between us three.
Then we were both like, I don't want the middle seat. Me neither. What if I want to go to the toilet? Okay, let's just set a stranger there and talk over them the entire time. No.
Well, I hope you had as much fun on this flight as we had with you.
And we hope you fly again with Little Duck Book Club Airlines.
It's just the ducks holding the person.
It's just one giant duck,
Dude, I'd book.
Honestly, the airplane is just like painted like a duck, the little...
Oh, that'd be so cute.
It would be really cute.
It would be.
It has like giant headphones on, because that's
Lufthansa,
branding.
listen up. Your logo is already a bird. Like, there's not much you have to do.
Lufthansa Condor, the first one to jump on the idea, gets a discount.
It's a Little Duck Book Club discount. For, I don't know what. We're not sure yet.
For like a sticker, and it's like 5% off or something.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode. And if you have any ideas for like a vicious adaptation, or if there's a book where you're like, oh, we would like to know what your brains cook up on this long elevator ride flight hybrid, write it down in the comments. Maybe it's something where we're like, oh yeah, sure, that's
maybe we'll see and we go like, I have some big brain ideas. We need to do this.
Yeah, the musical is happening, bro.
We are on it. We already have like 5 seconds of music. We're basically done. It's in the works, man.
It's all about the marketing, baby.
The only thing we need is to secure the rights from V.E.Schwab, but I don't think she'll mind. I think she'll love our idea and our pitch.
What has ever gone wrong in social media during like COVID times, making musicals from intellectual property? Nothing went ever wrong there.
If you don't monetize it, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah, well, but they did. The Bridgerton musical, they did. That was their mistake. Anyways.
Rookie mistake.
A rookie mistake. We're not rookies.
We just take unrelated donations. Anyway.
Have a nice day. Hope you had a great time. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.